Jamie, what is your business? What do you do?
I'm a Doula Success coach.
A Doula Success coach.
Yes.
So what does that entail, and how what you do helps doulas succeed um, through your set of services?
So, in my work, I really try to focus on both the professional and the personal aspects of this work because it's a very heartfelt work. It takes a lot of physical and emotional capacity to do it. But I really help doulas talk about pricing their services, seeing the value in their services, understanding how their mindset impacts their ability to ask for money for clients, how they work with clients, how they connect and build a relationship with clients, how they give them their very best all the time. So my goal is, A, clients are getting the very best out of their doula because that's critical. I mean, this moment, you can't just hit rewind and do this again. You never get to do the birth again. So if your doula's in a bad place...
I'm not sure anybody'd want to do it over again.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty amazing experience if under the right circumstances. But yes, you're right. Most people don't want to do each birth one time. It's enough. And so, but we want it to be this wonderful experience. We want people to feel loved and nurtured, and even if it's not going as planned or desired, that they're being supported and held through it.
So there's a lot to unpack there.
A lot.
And so, as a coach...
But that's one side, right? The other side of what I do is traditionally doulas, like I said, it's a very heartfelt business. Most doulas get into it because either A, they've had a traumatic or a phenomenal birth experience of their own that they want to prevent or share. It can go either way, it can go both ways. And culturally, there's been this culture of it should be heartfelt, that money is seen as bad. And that needs to change because it takes money, it takes self-care, it takes being able to pay your bills to make this business run for you.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we're telling people that it's all about heart, sure it is. But you know what? I'm trying to teach doulas that having enough and serving can actually go together. They're actually very compatible. It's another dialectic, right? We have lots of dialectics in this lifetime. Oh, oops. Should I explain what that means?
You can.
Dialectic means two things that almost seem oppositional can be true at the same time. So this one, most women get really quickly. I don't know about the men, but women get this really quickly. You can love your spouse to death, and you can be so angry at them you're just seeing red every time you see them. You can have both those feelings, and they can coexist in the same space. We understand, most of us understand that at some level, and that's a dialectic. Can you really be angry and love at the same time? Yes, yeah. You can. And so dialectics just say things that often seem opposing can coexist in the same space.
So, when you're sitting there with and trying to coach somebody and you're asking them to do something, what little things do you ask them to do that build on each other that ultimately make a big impact for them in their business and being able to serve effectively?
Open up that mindset to what it means to have money and what it could do. That might seem really small. What could I do if I had money? What would my life be like if I had money? And is it have enough? Is it have more to give? Or is it have a lot so I can make this huge impact? And everybody's answer will be different. We're not looking for everybody's answer to be the same because I just want them to set up their business in a way that helps them reach whatever their goal is.
So is your business focus mainly towards them making more money? Is it something where you're trying to get them to better understand money? I'm not quite getting
That's like the first change that we have to make in order for the rest of the business to really make sense. Why does it matter what model I use? Why does it matter if you're being underpaid and you consistently can't pay your own bills? How are you going to pay a coach? I have to know that. I mean, it's critical for me to understand that. That a big part of me getting to work with them means that we're continuing to move them along the line of being able to charge what they're worth. I mean, think about it. If you just really think about this, like I said, you don't get to rewind on your birth. This is a one-time, and this is a lifetime memory for women. How they felt on that day, how they feel about their baby, how people treated them, can either be a traumatic experience, or it can be something that propels them forward and they're bonding with their child and they're feeling really good about what they accomplished, and it's amazing. Those are two very different experiences that women have. I mean, there's always in the middle, it was okay, but those are two big ones. How can you, I mean, the value of that, of having it not be traumatic. Trauma costs a lot of money to fix. Let's be really honest. I mean, counselors aren't exactly cheap, right?
Right.
EMDR, yes. The average is 6 weeks, and that's assuming that it's a recent event and no other trauma backs into it. In birth trauma, usually something else backs into it, and we've got a longer course of therapy going on. So, what's it worth not to have that happen? What's it worth to bond with your baby and feel good? And what's it worth on their first birthday to be able to tell them their birth story and feel good about it and about yourself? I mean, those are amazing.
So how do you teach a doula what small steps that their clients can take, and then have them understand that, hey, I've gone and I've gotten this client, they've paid me so much, and then they optimally need to teach their client.
Right.
And so what skill sets are they teaching? What are those small things that they're doing that help these families to have a better experience rather than something that is feeling, I don't know, maybe for better word, a negative experience because they're unprepared and they just get taken over.
So, I mean, of course, you give information, but all of us know in the knowledge industry that information is just that. You can get it on Google, you could YouTube, you could
that's true.
Go on TikTok. What changes people's lives is the implementation of the knowledge, right? So if I have a client who's a very big people pleaser, afraid to speak up for themselves, afraid to say the word no, then I might give them the exercise. Next time you go to Schnucks or Walgreens or wherever you're going to get your food, and they say, would you like to donate $1 to end hunger? Stop. You're going to say no. It's going to feel like the most uncomfortable thing in the world. If you want to run home and donate $1, you run home and donate $1. But at the store, you're going to say no thank you. Because it's your money. Because you get to decide where it goes. The store is asking to decide for you. And what, truthfully? This store is making millions of dollars. Seriously. Are you making millions of dollars? But they're going to say they donated millions of dollars, and part of that was your money. Shouldn't you be able to say where your money goes? Shouldn't you be able to make that decision? And when we start to change, I mean, it's just a simple change, right? I mean, it's $1 at the grocery store, but it's saying no. It's using the word no, and realizing that the whole world isn't going to explode on you. That the cashier isn't going to run you down in the parking lot begging for your $1. But sometimes when we're people pleasers, that's exactly what it feels like.
Right.
Or I'm going to come in again, and she's going to know I'm the person that didn't donate, and she's going to think I'm a horrible, horrible person. And then you realize that doesn't happen.
Right.
And you realize that you can choose where your money goes. You can choose these things. And that's going to come into play when we have to advocate with a provider, and we have to say the word no. No, I don't want that test. No, I don't want to do it that way. No, I don't think that that's the best answer. No, what's my other options? No.
So, teaching how to say no, that seems like a 2-year-old's task.
It does feel like that because 2-year-olds say no all the time, don't they?
They do.
Would you like a drink? No. Would you like an apple? No. I want a drink. And you shake your head going, what? I just asked you if you would you like a Capri Sun? No. Do you want a high C? No. Do you want a water? No. I want a high C. That's what life with a toddler is like.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
So,
But yeah, you're right. It should feel like, but it doesn't. I mean, think about the trauma that we experienced just growing up. That's why people are people pleasers, is it keeps people off their back. Maybe your parents got mad at you when you didn't get that A. Maybe they got mad at you when you went to an event, and so you learned just to do the right things because
Right.
it kept peace. So now you're coming into a phase of your life where your baby's life, your quality of life can be impacted by your answers.
uh-huh.
If you can't say no, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's the doctor is going to go by, in a lot of ways, the standards, the protocols that the hospital prefers, what keeps their liability down, which professionally, that all makes some level of sense. But when it's your baby, your experience, your health, you have to take control of this. You have to be willing to say no.
So,
No, thank you.
so when you're coaching people, do you give them a set of simple tasks that they need to do over a period of time, things that they can easily implement and add into their routines?
So for me, as a doula, I have 3 what we call prenatal visits. So that just means sessions meeting with the couple to find out all kinds of things about what they want, teaching them how to support each other, teaching them how to help during labor, teaching them all these things. During those visits, that's when we would start to see where they might need some extra support, and those are going to be built in to those prenatal visits, those
Okay.
homework assignments.
So within those set of assignments, are they helping them to see small steps, or are you asking for giant leaps?
No, I think saying no at the grocery store is a small step. I really do. I mean, it's $1. It's the grocery store. It's somebody you don't know. There's not a lot of personal on the line here. To me, that is a small step,
Right.
right? And maybe
But how many small steps do we need to take from the time that you find out, hey, I'm going to be a doula and I'm going to be going after a client, and I want to do what's right to get clients. There's a culture that says I need to do, I don't know, get a website, get other people, provide certain set of services, and is that culture that they're accessing doing it right, or are they doing it wrong? Because when I have looked at doula land, doula world, I see a lot of people come into it, and I see a lot of people leave it, and very few stay for any length of time. And I feel like, knowing you, that you've been in this business for 20 years, that there had to be things that you did to help yourself.
Oh, I did it all wrong in the beginning. Okay, let's just be real. I'm very honest on my channel about this. I tell my story. I did do free births. I did do low-cost births. You would think with my origin story, you would think, my first birth is going in and I'm shadowing a very experienced doula. And on my way in, she calls me, I'm going to the emergency room with my daughter. I'll be there as soon as I can. Within 30 minutes of arriving, she calls me and says, they're admitting my child, you're it. Okay, I'm green as green can be. And this client she's struggling. She's struggling. But I take care of her. And we go to the postpartum visit to check in with the family to see how they're doing. And the senior doula says, you know, you pay what you see fit. She's a new doula. You know, we want you to feel comfortable with what you pay, because this was not how it was planned to be. And they wrote a check for the entire amount. You would honestly think my confidence would be through the roof.
Yeah.
And it was for a minute. But then I hit up against I couldn't answer a question. A client said they couldn't afford my services. I ran into all these things. People had more certifications than me. I kept running into my own obstacles in my own head in a lot of ways, and that led to burnout. I burned out.
So you came in, and instead of taking little bites out of the elephant, you went and said, "You're expecting me to climb Mount Everest today?"
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways I did.
And how in the world, when you say you burned out, did you end up staying in doula work and now becoming a coach for doulas?
So, I mean, in that burnout, I had to heal, and I really was not working a whole lot because I wasn't feeling well. Literally, I don't know if you haven't experienced burnout, it's just, there is no motivation. It's through the floor.
Yeah.
And as I healed, I started wanting to go back to serve women. I just really felt this calling and this desire. But in that moment, I knew if I went back and did the exact same things, I was going to end up in the exact same space. So I had to start shifting some things and realizing that in order to stay in, I had to be able to take a vacation. I had to be able to go get a massage once in a while. I had to be able to do these things. And if I couldn't do them, then I couldn't do a lot. It just didn't make sense. And if clients couldn't pay, I couldn't take on that responsibility. It wasn't mine. That was probably the biggest shift, is to let go of that responsibility that it's mine to fix the entire maternity care system and the screw-ups and the financial situation people are in. That's not my job.
Right.
Period. Not my job. As soon as I let go of that and realized at this moment, this is what I can do, and I had a plan. So, I was giving away three free births a year is how I did it. And when that was done, it was done. Those were done. That was my contribution to the world.
Okay.
I mean, not everybody is able to make that. If you told me I'm a single mom and this is my income and I cannot give away free births, I would respect the hell out of you. And I would say, let's do it then. And if they need additional services, or if you feel like you need to give back, what way could we do that? And we would design a way that didn't involve free births.
Right.
Because there are ways. We get into this very narrow, one doula did it this way, so that's the only way. No, there's hundreds of ways.
You bring up a good point there that, a lot of times people come up with this thought and idea that because one person that's succeeding does it this one way and they have some level of influence, that they impact the culture in a way that may not necessarily be positive, not because what they did wasn't positive, but because how it was perceived is perceived incorrectly, and so then you have people thinking that they did X when they did Y, and there's no correction of that. It becomes part of the lore kind of situation.
But too many people are getting into this saying they're mentors or coaches, and they just want to throw you into a blueprint and you follow it my way and you do my steps and you'll succeed. When really a coach is about really clarifying where you are and what your idea is. So if I was working with somebody, I want to start by where are they right now and what's good about where they are and what's not so good about where they are. So I really understand how they're viewing their business and their world. And then if you really could create a perfect scenario, what would that look like? I mean, lots of times we can't. We just take imperfect action and we figure it out. But I want to know if perfect existed, what would it look like for them? Because then we have to blend and start figuring out how to get them, because again, like if a single mom came to me and said, I can't do 3 free births a year, that is not even in my vocabulary, I'm barely feeding my kids.
Right.
Okay.
That seems like an unrealistic expectation.
So more important for her is that we build consistency into her business.
Right.
She's got to have some level of consistency, and what does that mean? I don't know. Does she want to stop after that postpartum visit, or would she like to continue on with the same clients? And then we would have to get creative on what that might look like for her. You know, and it's not, again, there's no one right way to do this, and too many people are being prescriptive about it instead of eliciting from the client what they need to do and where they want to go.
Right.
Because if I give you a prescriptive to make, $100,000 a year, and I tell you what to charge, and you don't feel good about it, how confident are you going to feel going to your clients and asking for that amount of money?
Right.
We're going to end up in the same spot because you don't feel safe and comfortable with it. It's
Right.
more important that I'm eliciting the things that are happening and then helping you where I can, right? I mean,
Right.
if somebody's just unwilling to work on their mindset, it's going to be a hard run. I mean, people don't like to hear it. This is the thing that nobody likes to hear.
Right.
Is that the mindset is actually the most important piece.
Right.
How you feel, how you're doing, how you're interacting, those are really important pieces.
Right.
I don't care if you feel good charging $1,000 a birth. Now I'm kind of having heart palpitations and my stomach feels sick because it's just way too low for what you do. But if you feel really, really good about that, that meets your needs and that feels right to you, you're going to be more successful if I work with you through that and we figure the pieces out than if I try to prescribe and get rid of my sour stomach. Okay? That's my stomach. I have to deal with that. That's my problem.
Right.
What I'm dealing with is a person who feels good about that. And if they feel good, then I need to help them to feel better. I need to help them get their business on a better track.
Right.
Because if they're charging $1,000, they can't be there for 24 hours. So how do we navigate this piece of it the best we can and get them doing better so that their clients need less of them? I mean, that's going to be the critical piece in that scenario, right?
So, let me take you down a little, I don't want to call it a rabbit hole, but maybe little bit of a rabbit hole.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about the education pieces that you provide your clients. And so when you were an active doula, what was the average amount of time that you spent in a labor room?
When I first started, oh my gosh, when my longest birth was 48 hours with a client.
That's forever.
It was forever. It was. I did get some sleep. I mean, she did choose pain medication. The nurse was great and brought me, a chair that folded out so I could sleep, and blankets and pillows while she was sleeping, because that made the most sense.
Right.
But still, it's like 2 hours of sleep in a 48-hour period. It's not much. And it was a lot of active
But as
work.
you got better, I'm sure that things improved and you did things that would, help reduce that time.
What I learned is how to, again, this is such and it is a critical piece. What belongs to the client? I mean, if your anxiety is through the roof in early labor, of course, I'm going to come sit down, have a sandwich with you, watch a TV show, laugh a little bit, make sure your contractions are going okay, and then encourage you to rest, encourage you to hydrate, encourage you to do some things. And I'm going to give you instructions on when to call me again, but I'm going to tell you if your anxiety spikes. These are the things I want you to do first, and then you can call me. So instead of becoming the only resource a client had, I started to give more resources. And then, of course, as you get further in, there's more that you can give them so that they don't really need that beginning of labor as much, only your really severely anxious clients. And you're going to know that that's them when you meet them and work with them, and you just know that you're going to have to go and take care of them for a little bit. But I don't spend 48 hours. I spend an hour or two getting the anxiety down. They just need someone to be with them and let them know that they're safe and it's okay and this is normal and what to do.
Kind of what I was getting at is as you got more experience, you had more things you could offer your clients,
Right.
more things that you could give them as a set of tools that they could use, small steps that would improve not only their family life, but the things that they were doing their birth, and a lot of things that they could take beyond that and improve themselves. And hopefully in doing all of those things, instead of having 48 hours, maybe you're 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, maybe even 8 hours in the labor room. So, as you gave them those things, did your time in the labor rooms decrease?
Absolutely.
So what kind of decrease did you end up seeing? What was your average after some time?
I wish I could tell you I tracked it, but I'm not that exciting, so I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. But can you say that it was like significantly shorter?
Oh my goodness, yes, so much better. Because I gave responsibility to who it belonged to. It's not my responsibility to take you from start to finish. It's your responsibility as a couple to get through, or as mom and daughter, however you're doing this. But it's your responsibility to get through early labor. And I'm going to give you all the tips, but early labor is the longest part of this. It's also, yikes,
It'll pass.
it's also the least intense. And so, I have to give that responsibility to who it belongs to. So that when I come in, I'm there in the most active part of this and helping you, and I have the energy and I have the brain clarity to do it.
And you bring something to the labor room that the doctor's not going to bring, that the nurses aren't going to bring.
Well, they can't be there continuously, right?
Well, they have other clients or patients that they're looking after, I'm sure.
And they're following what the hospital wants them to do.
Because they're employees of the hospital.
And a doula can say, looking at the situation, this is where you are. Here's some questions you might think about asking. Or when we talked about this before, this is what you wanted in this experience. Is that what you still want? Then you have to ask the question, or you have to say no, or you have to,
So now, taking it from being a doula to being the coach, how do you get your doulas to recognize that, or what are you doing? What changes are you making in your life that help you to help them? Because honestly, we can't make huge changes instantly. It just doesn't happen that way. Change is something that is gradual, because any time you try and do anything fast, it's also easy to revert fast. But if you do it slow, then reversion is also slow as well. So what are some of the challenges that you've had in going from doula to coach, and then being able to influence doulas to be better doulas so that they are making better use of their time and their resources and the things that they have to offer, so that their clients feel better about what they're doing for them?
I'm up against the culture, right? That really thinks everything should be heartfelt. And that is been extremely challenging. So I've had to work on my money mindset, knowing that what I offer has value, being able to help them. So, I'm in classes learning. I showed up. I don't know if you guys know about Tony Robbins, but he had a Time to Rise event, and I went all 3 days because I needed that boost. I needed to hear what he had to say. I needed that motivation to keep moving my butt forward because it's so easy to give up when things are not well, right? The class I'm in, they talk about people who, they have moments when things are not going as planned. And what do you do when that happens? I have to keep my mindset there. What do I do when it's not going the way I hoped it would? Because it's going to happen to everybody.
So is this one of those things where they say, "Oh, we can do this instantly," or is this
Absolutely not.
So,
No, Tony talks about his setbacks. He's very open about them and how he's had to make workarounds happen.
So, what are some of the things that you have been doing now, and what are the things that you have done in the past that is enabling what you want moving forward into the future?
Oh, that's such a good question. I mean, there's just so many things, right? I mean, when you're really on your personal development, these setbacks, they're setbacks. And you go all in. You just decide you're all in. You just have to make the decision that you're all in, and you must. Tony talks about when your brain tells you, I cannot, I don't know how, then the response is, I must learn how. I must learn how to do this. Because it's the only answer that the brain will accept. And even that is a lot of work.
Or give up.
Well, I mean, but that's it's going to land you in a bad place if you keep giving up on yourself.
That's true.
So when you say
Very
I must, you change the brain to start. So when you say I can't, I don't know how, the brain shuts down. It says, oh, I guess we don't know how. But when you say I must, the brain opens itself up to problem solving. It starts to, it's in a new pathway of, oh, wait a minute. This is new thinking. Whoa! Hey, I must problem solve. I must go find a webinar. I must go find something. I must go find I must do something to change this. I must.
It's the development of a new skill that you didn't know you had that's basically already built into you.
Well, what I'm saying is, when we're in behaviors, habits, thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like wearing down a trench. It's like the more times you say, I can't, I don't know how, I'm not capable. Here we're digging the ditch. It's getting a little deeper each time in your brain, right? So it goes there instantly. You hit a challenge. I can't, I don't know how. Okay, well, when I say I must, I shift it out of that trench. It can't go there and do this. It can't. It's impossible to do both. So it has to, and you have to keep working it because the brain will hit another setback and it'll want to go to its comfortable place. But if you say, I must change this, I must figure this out, the brain keeps going over. Pretty soon that trench is not as deep as it was because you keep filling it in with I must, and we keep changing the dynamic. Now we have a new neural pathway and you respond differently to what's happening to you.
So instead of trying to walk down into the Grand Canyon, you're filling it up.
That's one way to put it. But you're making a new pathway for your brain. You're telling it, we're going to stop thinking this way. And that's a lot of work, especially in the beginning, because it wants to go to that comfortable place. It's easy. It's easy to say, I can't. It's easy to say, I don't know how. It's easy to say, this is too hard. Other people made it work, but I can't. As soon as you say, I must, you're into problem solving. Immediately, your brain shifts to, okay, you must? It's kind of crazy. It sounds crazy when I'm talking about it. But as soon as you shift that, it's like your brain goes, okay, let's solve the problem. We have a problem in front of us. We have to solve it. Whereas I can't, I don't know how, everyone else can do it but me. It just goes to that comfortable place and gives up. And then anxiety, overthinking, all those fun things start setting back in, and we're done.
It also places you in a position where you can easily just say, I give up again. There's this saying that says, if I always do this and I always do it and I never not do it, it's much easier to continue doing it than it is to say, oh, I'm going to not do it today, but I'll pick it up tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes, and if there's a bit of a challenge, it's easy again to say, oh, I'll just skip it again today. Or you do it today and you do, and then when something happens, it's easier to say, oh, I can give it up for this day or whatever.
But that's
than
the
it is
point
to-
where you need to start challenging yourself. What am I afraid of? Why do I not want to do this? Is it uncomfortable? Am I afraid of failing, dude? Am I afraid people will laugh at me? I mean, and when we really get down to it, yeah, when you start a business, especially if you're online at all, there is a chance people will laugh at you. There's a huge chance that people will laugh at you.
It's that thing. If you always do it,
But if you get up,
then you won't ever quit. But the moment you let it quit, it makes it so much easier to just let the next thing slide.
but you got a challenge. What am I afraid of? What am I really
Yeah.
afraid of? I mean, that's because that's what it is, right? I mean, that's why we give up. That's why we don't do something. Oh, I don't want to go to the gym. I look fat in my exercise clothes. I don't like this. Well, you're not going to thin down if you don't do something. And so maybe you're going to exercise at home for 6 weeks. Or maybe you're just going to overcome it and go in the middle of the day when there's hardly anybody there. It doesn't matter. Find your way through it, right? Find your way through this.
When's anybody ever at the gym?
No, there are times when it's crowded.
I'm sure there is. But those are the people who have that mindset that I'm going to do it every day no matter what.
And they're actually the ones who are cheering you on. Yay! You know, they see you and maybe you are out of shape. And they go, yay! You got it here. Go, girl, go, 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 go. They want you to succeed because they know what it brings to their life. They don't want you to fail. They're so excited for you a lot of times, and you don't even realize that you in your own head have made this. They think I'm stupid. Oh my God, they see me got winded. They don't care that you got winded. They're proud of you for being there. They don't care if you need to go sit in the chair for 15 minutes and come up again. They're just proud of you that you're there. They know how much this took to get there. They know the start.
It's amazing how many people out there are actually cheerleaders for people that are unlikely, that you would never think of being somebody who would be wanting to promote what you're trying to do. And yet they're out there all the time. It's like your example of, the person coming into the gym and just doing it. You get that 600-pound person, and people outside the gym see that 600-pound person walking into the gym, and they're going, oh man, that person, they've just been lazy their entire life, and now somebody tells them, if you go to the gym a few times, or they're thinking, oh, if this person goes to the gym, they'll last 1 or 2 times and they'll never be back. And yet, there's been people who've been weighing over 600 pounds, and then they start going and they go in to see the doctor, and initially they're wanting to get surgery, and suddenly they're doing well, and they start losing weight and losing weight and losing weight and losing weight, and they decide, hey, I can really do this. I don't need what this doctor is offering me. I can do this. And they work in the...
That's a very small percentage.
That's a very small percentage, but still.
But if you went into an aqua aerobics class, I guarantee you, because they're generally women, that they would be so excited that you got in the water and so excited for you, and you would be cheered on.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's do this thing. And as you lose, they would be so excited for you.
Oh, absolutely.
But a lot of times it's in our own head. I'm going to get in the water. They're going to laugh at me. They think I look stupid. They think I don't know what I'm doing. No, nobody knows what they're doing the first time they go to a class, because every instructor is different. You have to learn their moves. You have to learn how they run a class. So who cares? We all look stupid.
So how does that relate to coaching? Because it seems like there's a correlation there between going to a class, being unprepared and not knowing, and have a coach that's basically doing the same thing. How do you, is the coach the one that's, or the instructor the one that's supposed to be leading you to the end, or are you the one that's in control of getting you to the end and they're just a tool? I, sometimes I wonder because I see some of these big name coaches that are making, you know, $10,000-$20,000 an hour coaching executives and whatnot, and they're helping those executives make, you know, 10 times what they're making. But whose responsibility is it to get from step A to step B? In some ways, I feel like it's the coach because the coach needs that person to succeed, so they're really having to push. And on the other hand, I feel like it's the individual's responsibility because they're the one who hopefully are getting a benefit from what the coach is giving them. It feels like it's a weird dance.
If you came into coaching and let's just say we're working on time management,
Mm-hmm.
and I have you keep a journal of how you spent your time for the week. That was your homework assignment. Let's keep a journal. And you come back on Monday morning and I say, let's look at your time journal. Oh, I didn't do that. It felt stupid to me. Well, is it because I gave you bad advice?
No, because a time journal would allow you to see how you're utilizing your time.
But you decided it was stupid. You decided it wasn't helpful. So now, yes, your coach is going to have to rally and see if they can pull you back or see why you thought it was stupid or help you with, because there's a mindset issue there. There's a fear or something that blocked you from doing the exercise.
Right.
That's the 100%. Every coach knows that. When they're not doing it, there's a block. It's my job to help you extract that block, find it, explore it, confront it, right? But if you come in and you say it's stupid, and I say, okay, Doug, you know, usually when people think the homework is stupid, there's a fear underlying that. And I'm wondering if you're open this morning to us maybe delving into that a little bit. And you go, no, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. I'm not going to force you to come back and talk about this because maybe there's something under there that you're not ready to go for yet.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Sometimes people know there's a trauma or something under there. We aren't going there. So it might sound stupid with time management, but there's probably there might be something there.
Right.
I'm not going to push and go, we're going to do that anyways. I'm going to go, okay, let's start where you want to start, and then I'm going to hopefully incorporate us back to time management at some point.
Right.
And start confronting that. So whose job is it? It's our job. We are a team. We are a partnership. When you block down, my job is to see if I can pull you out of it if you're willing. If you're not willing, it's to work where you want to go. We'll go where you want to go, and we'll see if we can bring it back and come back around there.
So
we'll get there.
So as a coach, the client's success basically is your success. And when they succeed, you succeed.
But it's more than that. I don't think any coach is in this totally for the money. Okay, I mean, I think that...
I never mentioned money.
I think it is about serving the client. I think it is about making their life better. And so I had a client who had a very long birth the first time, and she was prepared for a long birth. And she delivered the baby at home. Waiting for EMS to arrive.
Oh my goodness.
And in her mind, that was a trauma. In my mind, that was a win. Like, oh my God, you did it. You did it. Oh my gosh, you did all the things. You had control. You had autonomy. You had all these things that have been described as important.
Right.
But the safety net wasn't there. And so that was scary. And so, again, this is kind of coaches have to be aware of that too, right? Is the way you see things and the way I see things may be different. And I have to be willing to step into your world to help you. I have to step out of my world and into your world. Doulas have to do the same thing when they're seeing their clients postpartum. They have to step into their world, into their client's world of what their client says. And sometimes that's hard. You see this birth and you're like, pretty standard fare. Nothing really exciting, nothing really complicated. It's a hospital birth. You know? But your client is either thrilled and thinks it was the most amazing thing ever, or they are upset and think that it was a trauma. And you're kind of going, girl, nothing bad happened to you.
Right.
But why? But if you can't say that, invalidates somebody's whole experience. You have to step in and understand, why do they feel that way? What happened that they took a different way than what you took?
Right.
Because they don't see this every day, especially the first time parents. This is not something most of them have ever been exposed to. They don't know what to expect.
They see the movie of the Hugh Grant movie where they're rushing to the hospital at 90 miles an hour, and and baby's born on the front seat of the car, and I don't know if that's what happened in that movie, but I just remember.
No, she made it to the hospital.
Either way, there's been other movies where the baby's born on the front seat of the car, and but either way.
Or Baby Mama. One of my favorites. But yeah, they don't have the experience, and so can we step in? And as a coach, can you step into, maybe that time management was, I've tried this before, it didn't work for me, I think it's stupid, I think that people think I don't know how to manage my time, I'm a grown-up. Oh, I just caught it. I just caught the thought process. And now I know where to go with it.
Right.
Right? And so now I can begin to help my client and elicit together something that might work better. That was kind of prescriptive. And my client didn't do well with it. Now I know that. Ooh, that's future information.
So, as a coach and you looking back at your career and what you have been able to accomplish and the things that your clients have done with your help, how do you constantly look at making improvements in yourself, and how do those improvements help you help your clients?
I mean, if I lose faith in myself, I can't have faith in them.
Right.
I can't give something I don't have.
Right.
If I'm not taking a time out to do things I enjoy, how can I teach them about self-care?
Right.
If I don't feel good about what I'm doing in the world, how can I help them to feel good about what they're doing?
So what are you doing as far as self-care and things that will show your clients that you're following the admonitions that you're suggesting of them?
I take time out. I'm hoping to find a yoga class soon that I can go to. I go to the beach. I mean, I'm doing things that I enjoy doing. I take time out in nature. Sometimes I slow down. Sometimes I realize I'm overwhelmed and I go watch a funny movie and laugh and come back on the task. Because I'm so overwhelmed, I'm not doing good.
So, I know you recently moved from where you were to a totally different location. Was that move difficult?
Extremely. Lots of anxiety about that move. Still having some anxiety, but you just have to deal, right? I mean, sometimes we just have to do things scared. This is how it's going to go.
Yeah. There's lots of things we need to do scared, and it actually makes us better by doing it a little bit scared. It shows us we can overcome things, right?
Right.
So, how do you believe that when you share with your clients, hey, yeah, I did move, do they see that as a positive, and that it's something that they shouldn't be fear as much?
I don't know
Or
how
is
they
it,
feel about it.
well, obviously, but um, how do you how do you want them to feel about that? I guess would be the
It
better
doesn't
question.
matter how they feel because this is my decision. If I'm doing my job, what does it matter? I could be on Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. My job doesn't it's not dependent on where I live and it's not dependent on how they feel about it. Oh, I'm going to take responsibility for what's mine, right? I mean, again, this is pushing back. That's if they feel some way about it, that's on them. It's not my job to make them feel any way about it.
Awesome.
It's the let them theory. I don't know if y'all have heard. You probably researched it. You're in self development. The let them theory. Have you researched that one?
That one I have not.
Oh, I love the let them theory.
Tell me about it.
So basically, she says there's lots of things that are out of control in our lives. We can't control the political climate. We can't control how people feel about us. We can't control if they think we're enough. There's just lots of things, right? So when you feel like you're being gossiped about, or you feel like you're putting all this extra effort into something that's not paying off because of how someone might see you, you have to step back and go, let them. Let them think what they want. Or maybe you're doing a direct messaging campaign, and you have the sudden thought of, oh, people are going to think I'm salesy and terrible, and they're going to hate me and think that this isn't how a coach should act. You have to stop yourself and go, let them. That's on them, but I need to grow a business, and I need to get people in the door and let them know what this amazing service is, because if I don't, someone else who doesn't care so much about them is going to. And that's not okay with me. I care. I'm passionate. I care deeply. They need me. The people that need me. I have to get to let me do the direct marketing, let me have the clients that belong to me, let me do the things that build my business, let me, and let them laugh, let them talk, let them say that's not right. They're not my clients. They will never be my clients. Why do I care what they think so deeply that I'm going to shut down and ruin my entire business over them?
You know, I know a number of people who have YouTube channels, and one of the things that they say is that they love the haters.
I don't know if I'm there, but let them works really well. Let them.
It's basically the same thing. They say they love the haters because when the haters are out there pushing their things, they get more subscribers because people like what they have to, what they're doing.
Because it's right
And
for
it gets
somebody.
them, yeah, they're doing something that's good for somebody. And when other people are going, you're nuts, you're crazy, you know, this is never going to work, that's when you keep pushing forward because you know something positive is going to happen. Now, does it always happen that way? No, but it still gets eyeballs on what they're doing.
Or when they say the other coaches don't do it this way, you should stand up proud because the other coaches aren't doing what you're doing because you're taking them down a different path.
Right.
And that different path could be exciting. It could be a big change. It could be just the thing that your clients need. Maybe
Right.
they've tried the other ways and they're exhausted doing them, or it doesn't feel in alignment with what they believe and value. Well, then we need to try something different. It's time.
So, are you trying to hit every single doula out there?
No. I'm looking for ambitious doulas who are ready to change something. Something's not working for them. They're ready for change.
So you have for no other better term but a niche client.
I do. Because if you're not willing to change, if it's not your time, if you're happy with where your business is, why would you pay me? That doesn't make any darn sense on the universe. But if you're looking at it going, dang, 5 people have told me I'm going to get close to burnout if I don't change something, then I might be your girl who can save you from burnout. Because I've been there and I know kind of how I had to climb out of it. So that climb out can be your steps to not going there.
Right.
Right? I've climbed out of it. It was horrible. It was horrible. I would not wish burnout on anybody. It's, I mean, and I don't think doulas understand the depth and the gravity of burnout. I mean, when you think that executives, if they run to burnout and they go to HR talking about they're struggling, many of them get 6 weeks off paid to get better. Why? Because companies know that a burnt out employee is either going to quit or going to do it. They're not going to do a good job, right? So they say 6 weeks of paid time off to keep our employee, to retain our employee and get them back to some level of health. And they'll pay for coaching or counseling. They'll pay for, your time off. They'll make sure that if you want to go to exercise classes or do things, you have all these access points. It's HR's job to save you because they know in an executive level, trying to rehire somebody, hire somebody new, is way more expensive than retaining somebody.
Right.
But burnout's happening, so what are we doing wrong and what do we need to do to help you? So they help them, and then they're starting to look at processes and policies again,
Right.
because
Right.
why do we have an executive burning out? What did we do? What did we do wrong? Because it's not
Right.
something you want to see.
Right.
So if you think about that, it must be pretty awful
Right.
to burn out. I mean, and it's hard to explain to somebody who's never been there. Your whole body just shuts down. Like you can be running on energy one day and you're just shut down the next.
Right.
You don't want to do anything. You don't care what purpose you have in the world. You don't give a crud. You just want
Right.
to cry.
Right.
You just don't feel good. You just don't feel like you have any purpose in the world. And even if you
Right.
did, you don't have the energy to do anything about it. So
Right.
it's like you've exhausted 2 years worth of energy. And it's over. Your body says, I'm done. I need rest. I need recovery. I need time. And you just have to give it to it.
So, you understand that this particular channel is looking at the little small changes, something at 1% maybe that you can do that will make a difference, and you're constantly building on that.
So
What
wake
are
up in the morning and decide that you're going to get out of bed. Decide that you're going to take that shower and do it, right? Like, especially your viewers who have anxiety or like to overthink things.
You remind me of that naval officer who gave the speech that said the first thing you do in the morning is you get out of bed and you make your bed,
Well,
because
I just say get your feet on the floor and get to the shower, because particularly if you're an anxiety or overthinking person, once your feet hit the floor and you've made a decision, because that's your first decision of the day, right? Tony Robbins says life is a series of decisions. For people with anxiety, making decisions is a complete shit show in their head. It literally is. I can't do that. People are going to think this. Oh my gosh, what if it turns out like, and you're just in overthinking land. But what we tell them now is, from the time you make a decision to do something, you have 5 seconds to get your butt in gear. If you say, I'm going to send a message to 50 people today, you have 5 seconds to pull that computer and start getting in gear to do this thing. Now, you don't have to just get on and do messages, but you've got your pad, you've got your paper, you're in action, and you're doing it, right? You're working with ChatGPT, you're doing it. Your brain can't go to overthinking when you're in action. Just like if you decide you're going to take a shower, it's not like back down in bed. It's not, oh, I don't want to, it's too cold. It's get those feet on the ground and get walking to that shower, because that's what's going to stop that in its tracks. And then you can make the next decision. Are you going to brush your teeth or wash your face first? Does it matter the order? Probably not, but you need to make a decision. And the more times you make a decision, the less overthinking can show up.
and the easier the next decision.
It gets
is to
easier
make.
through the day. And if you do get stuck, you'll realize I'm in overthinking, and you'll make a decision to go scrub the baseboards, go wash the dishes, go sweep the floor, get my body active so that I can deactivate this overthinking thing.
Go and go to the water cooler and talk to somebody who can help you get a new idea there at work, or have a little meeting with friends, and then you can get that software moving in the right direction again, or whatever it is that you're working towards.
So, I mean, that's the best advice I can give is 5 seconds is not a long time. And for people that overthink or let anxiety slip into their thoughts, you have to make a decision and do something. Doing is the only antidote. That's it. Action is the antidote.
So if you were to give my viewers one piece of advice, what is that one piece that would make a 100% improvement today?
Get up in the morning and start making your decisions and trust yourself. Trust yourself that you're going to make decisions that make sense. And trust yourself that if you make a decision that doesn't make sense, you can climb your way out of it. It may not be pretty, it may not be perfect, but taking an imperfect action is better than trying to wait for things to be perfect. Take imperfect action. Make decisions. It's okay to make an imperfect decision. It's even okay to make a wrong decision. But making no decision is going to take you nowhere.
That's true.
So I don't know. I hope that's simple enough, but...
So basically, decide to decide, and then when you make a decision, stick by your decision, and if it's a wrong decision, then live by the consequences that you made.
How about if we say try a decision, and if it doesn't feel right, if it's not working, then,
you can always change
figure a way out of the hole. Exactly.
You can always make a different decision.
Right.
But you don't know what the results of the decision you're going to make until after you make that decision. So making the decision is the deciding point that sends you on the path.
Yeah.
And then when you come to the dead end, you go, well, I reached the dead end, I got to go back, and you get to that point you were at before, and you change the path, and you head down a different trail.
Exactly.
And hopefully you don't run into another dead end. But if you do, you can always come back and make the next decision. Either way, you're making decisions is something that shouldn't take you necessarily a long time. Spending a long time to make decisions just brings indecisiveness.
Or you lose opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
Even worse, you lose opportunity.
Yeah.
If you spend too long spinning, and anxiety loves to paralyze us. It does.
And you may make what some people consider a bad decision. You get to the end of the trail and you look at it and you go, I need to go back, but instead of going back, I'm not changing my decision. I'm just going to grab some new tools so I can move forward.
Yep.
And maybe that means that you're, grabbing a bow and arrow and a piece of rope, so that you can launch something someplace else so you can get further down the way. Who knows what it is.
Yep.
But ultimately, sometimes it means that you're having to climb into the chasm and climb up back out of the chasm so you can build the bridge.
Yep.
And then you're innovating and you're making things different. But again, it doesn't happen in a day. Some of those innovative processes take months, sometimes years to accomplish. But you have to make decisions and you have to make choices, and you have to decide what is the next best step that you believe is the next best step for you.
Yep.
Sounds like a lot to unpack, and yet we've done it in a short period of time here. And not the short period of time that I anticipated, because this has been way longer than I had originally expected.